Hi, Desai from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book to read for you. Today's book is Snow White Visits the Seven Dwarfs from 1979. So let's get started. It was early morning in the forest. The seven dwarfs were going to work in the diamond mine. They sung as they marched along. Hi ho, it's off to work we go. Suddenly their friend Bluebird appeared. He had something important to tell them. The dwarf stopped to listen. Good news, said Bluebird. I have just come from Snow White Castle. How is Snow White? Asked Doc, the leader of the dwarfs. She is well, said Bluebird. She and Prince are coming to the forest this afternoon to visit you. That is wonderful, said the dwarf named Happy. We have not seen her in a long time, said Grumpy. We should do something special for her. Everyone agreed with him. The dwarfs worked happily that day because they knew that Snow White was coming for visitors, but they could not think of anything special to do for her. Then Dopey found a big, beautiful diamond. We will give it to Snow White as a present, said Doc. Even Grumpy agreed. It was the perfect gift for their friend. The dwarfs stopped work early that day. Dopey carried the diamond proudly as they all marched home. They sung together, hi ho, it's home from work we go. When the dwarf opened the door of their cottage, they saw there was work to do. They had left their little house a mess. Things was out of place. There was dirty dishes everywhere. They wanted the house to be clean for Snow White, so Sleepy swept the stairs, Dopey powered up the dirty dishes, and Doc washed them. A squirrel and a little bird dusted the corner. Grumpy mopped the floor and made them shiny. Doc cooked a delicious dinner. Dopey and his friends picked flowers for the table. Now we are ready, said Doc. Dopey, you put the diamond at Snow White's place at the table. But where was the diamond? No one seemed to know. Now, after all that hard work, they could not find their gift for Snow White. You had it last, Sneezy, said Happy. I did not, said Happy. You did. Grumpy pointed a finger at Bashful. I bet you lost it, Bashful, he said grumpily. But they knew the only thing to do was to look for the diamond. They searched high and low, but they could not find the diamond. Suddenly, Bluebird appeared. Snow White and the Prince are on their way, he said. They will be here soon. Oh no, cried Doc. What are we going to do? We had a beautiful diamond for Snow White. And now it's gone, said Grumpy. Bluebird, can you help us? Asked Sleepy. I think I know where the diamond is, said Bluebird. Follow me. Off they went with Bluebird in the lead. He flew to a tall tree where an angry old mud pie had a nest. Something in the nest was sparkling. They knew it was the diamond. You give us back our diamond, Doc said to the mud pie. But the magpie did not move. The dwarfs stood on each other's shoulder to get the diamond. Sleepy was at the top, but he did not dare reach for the diamond. He was afraid of the angry magpie. Finally, Bluebird and his friends snooped down and chased the magpie away from the nest. I have it, said Sleepy, as he held up the diamond. Suddenly, Sneezy went achoo. All the dwarfs came tumbling down. Sneezy landed on top of the pile. He was still holding the sparkling jewel. Let us hurry, said Bluebird. Snow White and the prince will reach the cottage any minute. The little men ran down the path. Doc held onto the diamond while his friends, the dare, gave him a ride. They reached the cottage before Snow White. Dopey put the diamond carefully on the table. Then Snow White and the prince arrived in their royal cottage. The dwarfs bowed before their honored guests. Snow White and the prince bowed too. They went inside for dinner. Everything looked lovely, said Snow White. And what a beautiful diamond. It is for you, Snow White, said the dwarf. Snow White thanked them and gave them each a kiss. Snow White danced with the prince. Then she danced with the dwarfs. The hours flew by. It was very late when Snow White and the prince went home to the castle. The dwarf waved goodbye to them as they rode away. What a wonderful night, said the dwarf as they climbed into bed. I am glad we did something special for dear Snow White, said Doc. The dwarf all nodded and closed their sleepy eyes. So that was Snow White Visits the Seven Dwarfs for 1979. So if you like, subscribe, share, and comment, have a groovy day with another video coming out real soon.